Hey everybody, it's Alan May from the Dayton Web Developers and Gem City Tech. I've got some good and bad news. First of all, I said I was going to record the video and put it up on YouTube. Record video of our first meeting back since the lockdown. Unfortunately, I got the audio. I didn't get the video. I didn't hit record. So I'm going to do something creative. I'm going to do an avatar thing where I've got the audio and I'm going to have an avatar speaking. I'm going to put my slide deck with that. But for those that were not here, this was the space that we were in. And over here is the kitchen that we were in. So there were 28 of us that got together on Wednesday. And it was a great turnout, and we all took a tour through the building, and I talked about the past history of the Dayton Web Developers, where we're at now, and what the plans are for the future with Gem City Tech and the Dayton Web Developers. So it seems like everybody's really excited about that. So enjoy the video with a talking head, with a talking avatar. And I look forward to seeing you at the next video. We'll see you. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I'm Alan May, and I'm the organizer of the Dayton Web Developers. And I am very sincere when I say it's really nice to see you. I hope you're all okay and you survived the pandemic. It's been a really strange world. So I'd love to hear what's been going on in your world as far as challenges, or maybe it's presented some interesting things that new things have grown out of being at home. I know that's put different challenges on my family, so. There's three things that I want to talk about. Obviously, this is an unusual night because I wanted to show you the facility and introduce you to the new place that we're meeting at, no longer meeting at the Firefly building. So talk about some of the history, some things have changed, so I don't want to lose the history because I'm very proud of the Dayton Web Developers, very proud of the Dayton.net group, very proud of New to the Web. They're not going anywhere, but I also want to go over some of the history again for those that are possibly new to the group and punctuate the value of this group. Maybe we don't stop enough and punctuate that particular thing. I want to talk also about the structure now and the huge potential that we could evolve into, which is probably my pie in the sky vision projected outwards. So I'm going to jump into another slide deck, but the history of the Dayton Web Developers. In the beginning, there was Compar. Mike Compar, he's not here, is he? No, he's not. He said he was going to come, or you RSVP'd. In the beginning, there was Compar. The Dayton Web Developers started off in 2006 and started off as the Web Standards Group by Mike Compar. And he gave a really nice long narrative, and if you want to read the whole narrative, it's up there on Meetup under the About Us. They can find it. But he was seeing with the staff that he was working with that there was deficiencies in skill sets, so he wanted to bring something to, and I love this is still today, he needed to bring developers together to learn web development standards and raise the quality of their work, which is right, and to draw in developers. We still want to do that. We still want to draw in developers of every capacity. So if you're a rock star, share it with the people that are not. And if you're really doubting yourself, come in and soak it up just by being around and hearing the language, and you pick up a lot. So in 2007, the first event was at the newly refurbished Benjamin F. Coons building in downtown Dayton. I'll come back to that. The only attendee was Nathan Rambick, which was the former organizer of the Dayton Web Developers. He'd been running it for quite some time. He was immediately, I love it, Mike, opportunistic, said, okay, welcome, you're now an organizer. I might do that. It was kind of slow growing, 5 members in July, 11 members in September. Location meetings moved around. My personal opinion is to be very consistent, every single month at a particular time at a particular location. Some people don't mind moving things around. I think you lose people when you do that, so I'm not that way. Panera Bread, Nathan Driver's place, which is at the Dayton Chess Club. Catherine, you've had meetings many years at the Dayton Chess Club. Dorothy Lane Market, some coffee shop. And then eventually the group, Mike stepped down and turned it over to Nathan Rambick, and the co-organizer of Keith Engelhart. In 2014, Keith stepped down as the co-organizer, and I stepped up as the co-organizer. And then in 2020, Nathan Rambick stepped down as the organizer, and now it's left to me. Thanks a lot. So getting back to this, this is that building. Can you see it from over there? Pretty well. It's literally this building right here. I'm going through the history, pulling this together for the slide presentation. And then I looked at it like, no way. Talk about a circle of life. It started feet from here. Across the courtyard is in the Benjamin Coons building. So it's in the same place where it started. I thought that was just fascinating. The growth over the years, the blue line's nice, but it would be nice if the red line would track with that. But there is value in these people that aren't attendees. There's people from all over the world, and if you don't meet up, people like to just troll people. But I would like to see possibly the red a little bit more in line with the blue. But there's 1,700 people in a distribution list that we can communicate with and tell the awesomeness about the Dayton Web Developers. But from 2009 to the end of 2019, pretty good growth for any meetup. And then in 2018, I was observing that there was such a disparity of people that sometimes we get into these really deep topics, especially after the wonderful 2-hour React meetup that we had, which was great. But people are like, what? So it felt like there were people that needed to have some foundational stuff, like how do I get my build environment set up and things like that nature. So I was talking to Josh Fisher about possibly him taking over and running a meetup which was focused just on getting people up and running so that they can follow along better with the monthly meetings. And so the New to the Web was born in 2018. Josh then turned it over to Davis, and he's now the primary organizer for the New to the Web. So it was an expansion or an extension where there was another meeting night. And that's no longer, as I've told Davis, the new structure is that he's a standalone. He's not an extension of Dayton Web Developers. We are siblings. So that's the history. I mean, I'd like this to continue, and I'd like the Dayton Web Developers to continue and grow, and maybe grow and birth other little things that would be maybe more specific. So we've seen a tour of the space. The resources here are incredible. I challenge you to think about what Dayton Web Developers has not been able to bring, and think about what you might want to see and communicate that back. Or if you're inclined, I'll talk about this a little bit more too, but it's going to be very easy for you to try something. It's going to be very easy to have something put on the calendar and we can have a meeting space. And if it's something that you're inclined to try out, let's do it. Let's explore that together. So where are we now? That was the history of then. This is now the current focus. So what I want to do for moving forward with the Dayton Web Developers, and I haven't really been rushing to get a content meeting because it's almost like easy to do. Andy's ready to give one right now. right? And Brian, you said you're ready to give one. I'm trying to think of curated content, something which is makes sense in a fashion. Like I've seen a couple of really great workshops where they've walked a client through the process of building a website, and I think that'd be very cool to do that as a, maybe 6 months in a row where we would walk through the process together every month, rather than say React and then Polymer and then this and then that. That's great, but it's like pop-shotting things. Plus, I would like to be more purposeful as far as bringing content which is going to add value to the person that's working here in Dayton. So the web VR presentation that we had was awesome. It was really cool. Not practical though. I don't know a lot of people that are working in Dayton that are besides Brian, putting web VR to use. I'm thinking of aligning with the large companies that are employers that they're going to California to hire people. And there's valuable people here. What skill sets do you want? Let's bring those skill sets and present them to the Dayton Web Developers so that maybe we can sharpen your skill sets to get hired by the company that you'd want to get hired by. So I want to be purposeful about the content that we bring and quality. So Technology First is a partner that we could align with, and kind of the feedback from them is that if we bring good quality content, then they are interested in talking with us more. They have their annual Taste of IT, and they've opened up, the year before last, they opened up a lane for development, and we could continue opening that door more and having a presence within the Taste of IT. But again, it's something where we want to have something which is a high quality of content to bring. So I want to also continue looking at different formats, because it kind of gets the same routine. I wish I could tilt this one. So do you guys like the lightning talk format that we've had? It seems like everybody comes out for lightning talk. It's like little bite-sized nuggets, and it's good stuff. I want to continue doing that. The speaker presentations, that's just the thing. Panel discussions, I thought they were highly productive, but how do you guys feel about having 5 people that would be industry leaders in a particular topic? And what we've done is kind of seeded the questions and say, to get things rolling, and 5 or 6 questions to them, and then the audience would then participate and get to pick their brains. I mean, I like that format, and I'd like to do more of that. I also like the paired presentations that we've had in the past. I purposefully put together, just to try it out, a front-end and a back-end developer. So Jarrett and Nate Denlinger, they did, Nate was a back-end PHP or something like that? No, he did a Laravel back-end, and then he did, Jarrett did a front-end Ember.js, because that's his skill set. And it was really, really good to see 2 presenters up there kind of simulating real life, where you would have a back-end developer that would be collaborating with a front-end developer, which is really cool. So I think this is the web industry is very spectrum. There's lots of people here in different areas, and I think that the design side of web design, web development, is underrepresented. So I mean, Ricardo Zay is not here, so. So I then did a paired presentation of a designer working with a front-end developer. And that went well too, because it was neat to see like a staged real-world scenario where that interaction happens. So I'd like to do more of that. If there's something that comes to mind, share that, and we'll explore that. As far as, I don't know, here's conflicts which happen here. Project managers get pissed off at developers because they underperform and underdeliver. You know, maybe pair that, and we'll have a boxing match. And the agile Scrum flow, you know, things like that. I already talked about a topic series. So like for 6 months, have a cycle of life of something. That would be interesting. So that you'd have something to the next, to be continued, a little cliffhanger, like next we're going to be diving into this, which would be cool. I'm just generally curious in general, so I'm very curious about the upfront stuff, like the decision makers and the product owners and the clients that are making decisions, and how can you consult and steer the client into making the right decisions. Another option to consider for interesting formats, I don't like them, but virtual hosts, people are kind of softened to the idea of having a Zoom call, but maybe we can bring in some presenters that might have charged a great amount of money that will do it for free via Zoom. And then case studies is another thing that we've done in the past. CareSource came in and they gave a demonstration, or they talked through their data pipeline. And then Kroger's came in and they talked about their design system that they have there at Kroger's. So I would love to see more of that. I don't know, maybe there's some internal stuff that AWS would be interesting to see. So I think looking at what other companies or enterprise organizations are doing, that's cool. Let's do that at our place. I also would like to be not Alan bringing content and shoving it down your throats. I would definitely like to see this space be well utilized. And I'm glad that you went on the tour, and I'm glad you got a workout, but I was also hoping that you would be inspired by the potential of pursuing something that you're a little bit more interested in. I mean, I was talking about with Nate, and like if you wanted to have a JavaScript focused discussion with people about how to, I don't know, find blue frogs with JavaScript. That's not going to be something we're going to present here, but we're going to talk about Gem City Tech in a moment. It's going to be very easy for us to encourage that and support that. And if it's successful, great. If it's not a big loss. But I don't want to be the one forcing things. I'd love definitely for this to be a space that you guys would embrace and explore whatever rabbit trail that you think would be productive. And I didn't get to really finish this because I was struggling with the language to use here. There's a boot camp here called Cable Academy, and they serve underprivileged folks for a 12-week to get them into the industry. And I had a conversation with the president of Cable Academy, and we were very like-minded, and I'd like to collaborate with him as far as people that just are possibly struggling to change careers, better them their lives. I'd like to get them involved in the tech, the web industry in one way or another. So I also want this to be definitely a safe place. The Innovation Hub has its policies. We're going to be, Haneen and I are going to be hammering out some policies ourselves to make sure that everybody is comfortable and that this is a safe and equitable place.
I'm Haneen, and
so that's the end of the slide for the now. Probably next month, I might be looking at talking about the beginning of the life of a web. What kicks off that? If anybody's interested in talking about that, so like, where is that sparkle of thing happening and exploring that? What happens to that these days? Is that something which is driven by a client that now has a new product, or is it something that they need to refresh? I don't currently work in an agency. I did in the past, but even when I did work in an agency, I was not part of that process. So if somebody's more involved with that and they're frequently seeing those discussions, and maybe you would like to give a presentation as far as the beginning of the life of a website, and then maybe looking at the design and what goes into that and shaping the client's expectations and things like that. And then all the upfront stuff before you actually get into the code would be interesting to follow as a cycle of life. So if you wouldn't mind coming up here and introducing yourself. So,
hello everyone. I'm Anine, and I have been fully involved in the Dayton.net developers group for a very long time. Due to the pandemic, we just kind of stopped meeting for a while. I'm planning to get it back up and rolling, but now I'm partnered up with Alan, and we're working on this more umbrella user group that he's going to talk about some more, and it's kind of an umbrella organization that has these other user groups that we've been running underneath it.
yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. I did, but I didn't. So officially with the bank, at least, I'm the president and she's the vice president of Gem City Tech. And Gem City Tech is a nonprofit business that's registered in the state of Ohio to do business. So I created that so that we can consolidate resources and we can do a variety of interesting things. So I don't have any branding yet. I'd like to do some branding of having a Gem City Tech identity. Again, we're looking at this as Gem City Tech would be supporting user groups and meetups. And right now we've brought under Gem City Tech, new to the web, Dayton Web Developers and the Dayton.net Developers group. So there's still going to be leadership and management of those, and they're still going to continue. But what the advantage is that Gem City Tech, as a business with a bank account, we can consolidate all of our sponsorship monies into the parents, and then new to the web had no funding. So Dayton Web Developers had Sparkbox, yay. And Davis never had pizza. Well, now as a member of the Gem City Tech family, we can support him and make sure that there's refreshments there for people that are clocking out of work and going there, and they're like, I'm hungry. The Dayton.net Developers group will be eventually coming up to speed. So my observations were that people would be enthusiastic about a topic and they would run out and they'd buy themselves a brand new meetup account. And then they'd start finding a place that they could have a meeting, and then they would tell other friends about it, and then they would have 2 people show up. And meetups, $100 every 6 months. And I've seen it done a couple of times, and we've started up a PHP group, and that lasted for a little while and it fizzled out. We've talked about many things what Gem City Tech could be, but I'm liking to think of it kind of like a meetup or a community group incubator as one of its roles. So if you've got an idea for something, I mean, Brian, a Unity gaming group, we can put it on the calendar. It costs nothing to put it on the calendar. For the Gem City Tech meetup, boom, you don't have to buy an account. And it could be here at the Innovation Hub. And there's some details to be worked out, but Gem City Tech could support you on that. If you have 2 people, maybe you should try to get some more people in there. So that's why I'm excited, is that we could definitely be agile. I hate to overuse that word. We could try it, and if it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. You didn't have to invest in anything. You didn't have to rent a space. You didn't have to buy a lease, and you didn't have to invest in Meetup. So if you're thinking of something that's really cool and crazy, like drones with swords, crazy, yeah. And you wanted to see if there's other people that wanted to talk about drones with swords, then you could throw it onto the calendar and try it out. And if it's wildly successful, yay, we can grow into that. That's awesome. But if it fizzles out, no harm, no foul. So that's one layer that I think that, I didn't. Hanina and I were talking, this is her idea, is maybe once a month or maybe once a quarter, if it's not that popular, is we would have like a pitch night. Maybe somebody thought this would be really cool, I want to see this happen, but I don't want to do it. We could put it on the pitch night thing, and kind of like when you have Shark Tank, where you have a business proposal and you pitch it to the guys that then tear you to shreds. It'd be something like that, where I've got this really great meetup idea of having people get together, and we're going to plan out drones with swords, and then we're going to go out to a field and we're going to LARP with our drones with swords, and it's going to be elevated battle bots. And that would probably get, there's a deadpan, nobody's interested, or people be like, yeah, I'm down with that. And then that could encourage that getting onto the calendar. So I thought that was a great idea. So you could say on that list, we could also have another list, which is, here's a new meetup, which I think would be really cool. Put it on the Shark Tank or put it on the pitch night, and we could do that. So that's Gem City Tech. Now the next layer above that, which I think would be super awesome with Gem City Tech, is start to explore some other areas that we are underserved by not having a business account, and that is having a premium type of a workshop. So maybe having, Brian and I, we did a workshop on Unity Gaming. Dayton Web Developers didn't have a bank account, so we used his bank account to do the tickets. He got paid a little bit, and it also paid for the lunch. And how was it, Davis? How was the Unity Game Shop?
It was awesome.
Workshop? So I think it was
4 hours.
4 hours, and you got,
A lot of tech stuff, built something for people's fun.
yeah, you went home with a functional game, which was cool. And you got fed Panera Bread. So I'd like to explore that more, where we could do a deeper dive that you, I was also looking with just Dayton Web Developers, you've got 12 opportunities for a monthly meetup. And technology is just screaming, constantly evolving and changing. And so 12 opportunities in a year to have 1 hour of your time, I think I'm interested in a lot more things than that. And there's places that we could explore. And then there's deep dive stuff, whether that's somebody that needs a deep dive because they want to level up their skill set or they want to transition into something else. Maybe that web VR thing is something that you do want to explore. Maybe have a workshop on web VR or a workshop on starting a React application from start to finish. And at the end, you've got a completely functional application. So there's endless possibilities to have topics that we could bring. And as I said to him, these workshops could be little testing grounds for going the next step above that, which would be at the Innovation Hub here, we could have something like Stir Trek. We could have a multi-venue, multi-speaker events going on and people going to different rooms for different presenters, like an all-day or 2-day event. I would love to see that. I was born and raised in Dayton, and I'm passionate about Dayton, and I hate seeing people go to Cincinnati and Columbus. I want to bring people here at the center of the hub between Cincinnati and Columbus, and it would be cool if we had our own conference of some type. And I think Gem City Tech would facilitate that very nicely. And again, we could work our way up to that, but I've talked to a number of people in the past, and other people are interested in doing that also. Right now, the Taste of IT with Technology First, they have, that's a conference that they have every year. Technology First is very focused on the enterprise level CIO type of audience, but that's an opportunity that we could possibly also get involved with that conference in the future. But a Gem City Tech or some conference name, you insert name here, brought to you by Gem City Tech, would be a very easy thing to do in the future. So what have I not covered? So this is the Dayton Web Developers meetup. Thank you for coming out. We've got the past, and I hope I inspired you as far as where we've been and the things that we've covered. I was going to try and have this like scrolling slide of all of the technology stacks because it's interesting seeing all the things, but I just incorporated the topics into the slideshow. So when my screensaver kicks back in, there's the history of, and it's just neat seeing all these different topics that we've covered, and we'll continue exploring the industry together. The status of now is that this is the new home, and we are poised to be able to bring better, cool things. Poised, definitely, as far as this, also now that we have Gem City Tech, we can also go after more sponsorship, and that would allow us to add value to the individual meetups. So I'm excited about the future. I think that Dayton Web Developers is going to just keep growing and growing. I think it's going to be a sibling partner with other meetups, and we'll collaborate with each other, and we'll trade off speakers. Also, I wouldn't mind if the Dayton Web Developers became more refined to make space for another meetup which would be more refined to something that the Dayton Web Developers would cover. So if we have a WordPress website, we wouldn't cover a WordPress website in the Dayton Web Developers because there's a dedicated WordPress meetup. So that type of thing. So I could see where we become a little smaller but more focused. And I showed you that chart before where there was the red lines and the blue lines that diverge. Maybe that would be more, bring that together. And we would have more in the family that you could choose from that would be more on target. So I think, Brian, you and I talked about having a front-end workshop at once, or meetup at one time. We could talk about that again. JavaScript is a prime candidate. JavaScript meetup, we need one. So again, I'm going to close this by saying I challenge you to think of how we could take advantage of this space. And if there's something that is either a problem, either with the groups or a problem in the industry that you would like to see explored as a resolution, that would be something to bring and share it with the community. Maybe somebody else has a solution and they could bring that and solve your problem. If there's something that you're really passionate about, but there's not a square hole for your square peg, then we could make that happen. Because those drones with swords sounds really neat. What else? If you're really excited about having deeper dives into premium type of content, that's an avenue that we can explore. And if you really like swag, then we can have a conference and we can have booths and tables and squishy toys and stuff like that. So I'm excited about the future. And I hope you guys can go there with me and give me some suggestions as far as what you'd like to see, and we'll take it from there. So thank you.